One morning, Percy was waiting at the junction. The points were against him and the signal red. "Bother that signal," he hissed. "There's no rush, we have plenty of time," soothed his driver. "Look around to pass the time. There's always something new." Percy huffed indignantly as he began to look around. Suddenly something caught his eye, a big blue box off to the side of the station. "What's that blue box over there, just off the edge of the platform?" he asked. His fireman looked over. "Why, bless me," he exclaimed. "Those things are very old. There used to be one on every street and at every station. They have little telephones inside that can call the police in an emergency." Percy was impressed. It looked very smart. Why aren't they around now, he pondered. Most stations have smaller, more intuitive telephones now, and almost every shop and home has one too. Percy continued asking questions about all sorts of new technologies as the signal turned green and they had to set off down the branch line. The next day he sat waiting back at the junction. His eyes wandered back to the police box, but to his shock it was gone. "What's happened to the police box?" he asked his driver. Muttered his driver. "It seems someone moved it. Maybe they're finally getting rid of it." "Like that Doctor Who," joked the fireman. "A doctor? Has he come to make you feel better?" "Are you ill?" quizzed Percy. "No," laughed the driver. "Doctor Who's a little man in funny clothes, who goes around in a police box," explained the driver. "One second he's here, the next he's gone." Percy didn't understand at all, and felt a little scared of what this Doctor Who would do next. The following day, the signal was already green as Percy approached the junction to the harbour, but this time Percy saw a totally different police box on the line side. A small man stood next to it with a toolbox in hand and wearing a strange outfit. That must be the Doctor. He's trying to steal the police box. Percy wheezed steam as hard as he could as he passed the box. The man disappeared in a cloud of steam, and by the time he reappeared his clothes were drenched. That'll teach him not to mess with the police. At the sheds that night, Percy told Thomas and Toby about the police box. "And that's how I showed this Doctor who's boss," he boasted. Thomas was not amused. "Pah, sounds to me like all you did was soak a poor man's clothing," sniffed Thomas. "Doctor Who's a TV program," put in Toby. "That probably wasn't the real—" "It's him!" shrieked Percy, interrupting Toby as he saw the man walking angrily up to the shed with the Fat Controller right on his tail. "Percy," uttered the Fat Controller. Percy knew that only meant trouble. "This man says you covered him with steam at the junction. Is this true?" Percy was too scared to speak, so Toby spoke up. "Pardon me, sir, but Percy was just telling us how he stopped this alleged criminal from stealing a police box. It would be very hard for him to steal it since he is the owner," the Fat Controller sighed. "Why ever did you think he was trying to steal it?" So Percy explained what his crew had told him. Rather than being angry, the man just laughed. "Oh, you silly great engine. Doctor Who isn't real. Me and many other fans dress up like him and make our own police boxes," he explained. "We were building our own replicas out of flat-pack boxes and taking pictures in costume at the junction. It comes in parts so we can travel with them." Percy understood now and apologised profusely. Thomas and Toby spent the rest of the night chuckling about the whole interaction. The next day the Fat Controller gave Percy's driver and fireman a stern talking to with regards of their stretching of the truth, as he put it. A few days later, Percy had to stop at the junction with the signal red and the points against him once again. He felt very embarrassed when he saw a line of fans all dressed up with their police boxes. The man he had soaked came up to him. "Hello, Percy. Since we got off on the wrong foot last time we met, I thought I'd bring my friends along to meet the famous engine." Percy felt much better as he looked over everything. Sadly, that didn't last. "We have my masterpiece to show him," one of them shouted, as Percy turned pale with shock. A small metal machine that looked like a small pepper pot stood on the platform.
"Experiment!"
It bellowed, and before anyone could explain, the signal turned green and Percy raced off in fear. He didn't know it was just a little boy in a costume. Poor Percy.